Hey you guys, welcome to Storytime from my bedroom. Go ahead and before we get started, go ahead and click the bell for notifications. Subscribe to the channel. As I always say, it is totally free. And go ahead and give the videos a thumbs up after you watch it so that we will know that you enjoyed the video. Also leave me comments and I was also engaged with you. You guys, sorry about Monday. My life is starting to level out a little bit. You know, I took a position as a manager and the store that I'm in is just like crazy bonkers unorganized. So I've been working mass hours in the morning doing splits to check on the night crew people. They put me in a store with no management. I'm the only manager. I don't have a shift lead, associate manager, or nothing. So I've been doing crazy training with people, trying to find some people that are qualified, getting rid of some people. Right now, I've never counseled or wrote up people so many in my life in this last 3 weeks. So it's been crazy. This is my first off day, Wednesday, since March the 7th. So I am super, super excited and I'm well rested. So we will get back on track with story time because we got some people in position. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Boom. And I can be back on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with no problem. And I'm going to do like one of the followers said to go ahead and do like multiple videos in advance and then just upload them. So you're gonna see me with the same hairdo, but I'm gonna have a different shirt on because that's how we gonna do it. So I thought about what story am I going to tell today? So I think I'm going to tell the story about my grandmother. Now, mind you, this is Mattie, y'all, the one that we went to the club. We went to her house and she was like, y'all sure did come back late. So my grandma Mattie, she had a sister and a brother. And one thing about my grandma Mattie, their family has longevity. Like her mom's sister lived to like maybe 112. Her mom was 93. Now her brother Ray, he passed away maybe in his 50s or something, but he had like a heart attack or something like that. So they had real longevity in their family. However, her mom and her dad both had dementia. So this is like awareness of those that have dementia. I know the struggle of dealing with somebody with dementia. But you know me, I could put a funny spin on it. And some of the stuff was funny, but the whole situation of my grandmother definitely was not funny. So this may end up being a two-parter, y'all. It got a little drama in it too. I'm gonna tell y'all about the little drama or what have you. And so my grandmother, remember my dad lives in Indianapolis and he lives there with my grandmother lived in Indianapolis as well. But at this time that my grandmother started developing dementia and people really started noticing it was when my dad was paralyzed. So he couldn't do all the things that he needed to do to get her situated like in a nursing home. So he calls me one day and was like, Sherry, now mind you, my grandmother, I love that woman, honey, like I love my own soul, child. You couldn't tell me nothing about Mattie Howard's dirty draws, baby. That was she did no wrong. Best grandma in the world. Best grandma in the world. And so he called me. He said, can you come up here and get your grandmother? And I'm like, get her for what's wrong with Granny? He was like, I think she's getting dementia. She's outside, barely dressed, walking down to the bank, forgetting where her keys are, all this different stuff. Now, mind you, my dad has a brother, but he be on one. My ooh, you know how you got that one person in your family that's addicted to stuff and they off the chain? That's my uncle. Won't mention his name. That's his name. And he has been known to steal from my grandmother for years. I mean, literal years. So my dad didn't want him to deal with her finances and putting her in a place because he probably wouldn't have put her in a home or nothing like that. So I go up there to get my grandmother. Mind you, my grandmother grew up in the 20s, was born in the 20s, grew up 30s and 40s. And when she was in high school, there wasn't a school in her area. So she would go and live with these white people and her job so she could walk back and forth to school. And her job was to clean the house and iron. That is why my grandmother's house was boop immaculate. My grandmother's home was immaculate, honey. Clean. She starched everything, honey. She would starch your underwears. So my granddaddy was never wrinkled because this woman knew how to clean and she would make a bed baby that a quarter would bounce up off of. So when I get there and I knock on the door, she kind of knew who I was, but her house was in disarray. When I say it looked like a whirlwind. And I was like, oh yeah, something going on. Because this is not the home that I grew up in. This is not the home that I would come visit in the summertime. So I knew something was in disarray. So I was like, I had to trick her, you guys. So me and my sister, I think it was me and Tracy that went. We packed her up and we packed up some clothes as much as we could. And we told her, we was like, let's go to the store. She was like, okay, then let's go to the store. So I was fooling her to get in the car because she lived in this home for years. So she wasn't going to just get in the car and be like, oh, I need you to come live with me, which is in Cincinnati. She wasn't going for that. So I tricked her, y'all, into getting in the car. And I kept driving, and I was like, let's just go. So I kept driving. I tried to get all her pertinent information. I locked her house up. She had like 5 sets of keys hanging on the doorknob. I locked her house up or whatever and went on and started driving, to get on the highway. When we got so far out, she kept acting like, y'all, she had to use the bathroom. Ooh, 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 I gotta pee, I gotta pee, I gotta pee, I gotta pee. And I'm like, okay, now not knowing that she's getting me because she trying to get out the car, y'all, so she could take off running or whatever she trying to do. So I was like, okay, let's go to the bathroom. So I take her to the bathroom, and then when she comes back to the car, she was like, I want to go home. And I was like, well, we are going to go home. She was like, this don't seem like we're going home. I was like, Granny, we got to go. We are going home. And she was like, And so she started holding on. You know how you open up the door jam and like the window is here in the door? She's holding it like, I don't want to get in. I don't want to get in. And I'm like, oh my God. First of all, they're going to think this black woman is kidnapping this close to white woman, because my grandmother was super bright. She lived in an area where she could have crossed over if she would have married a white man. And I'm sitting there, I said, get in the car. Get in the car, girl. Like, these people are looking. We at a gas station. They think I'm kidnapped. And she's clinging, y'all, with her little frail hands to the side of the car. I said, oh, my God. Lord, what proof do I have that this woman is my grandmother? We got the same last name, but it's a lot of Howards out there. So I finally I said, Granny, okay, I promise I'm going to take you home. I had to lie to her, y'all. So she was like, you for real? I said, yeah. I put her in the car, and I said, scoot over in the middle or whatever. And I had the other kid that I had with me, I had them come and put her in the middle so she can't jump out the car on the highway. So I go down the highway, and she's just upset. She's upset. I'm upset that I had to do it to her, y'all. So I told her, I said, Granny, I said, some things going on with you. I heard you can't, you can't function. I just need you to come stay with me for a minute, but I'm going to take you back to Indianapolis. Now tell her I'm going to take her back to a retirement home because a nursing home, because I need to get everything situated. So she was just upset, and she was looking out the little window, and she was halfway crying, and I felt bad. Y'all, I kept my grandmama for about 2 weeks before the paperwork and everything like that process. And the best thing about it was her next door neighbor had a relationship with my grandmother. Well, she had a relationship with my granddaddy too. But we ain't talking about that today. So she had already started the process as a friend or as a guardian to get her in a nursing home. So she had called when she seen that my grandmother wasn't at home. She called my dad. That's how my dad knew what was going on with my grandmother, because that next door neighbor lady would call and was like, I seen her out here half naked climbing out the window. Why? Because all her sets of keys was on the doorknob, and she forgot. She kept buying keys because she was losing them, but she was putting them on the same doorknob, y'all. So she